if I poured you a drink, would you sit down and talk with me? Lend me your ear and I'll bring you along. We can split the day rate 50-50. Oh, baby, I get by. Oh, and all I need is somebody, yeah. Oh, I'm gonna get high. Oh, 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 oh. Baby, I need somebody. Oh, all I need is somebody. Oh, I'm gonna get high.
Welcome to the PRO EDU podcast. We talk and drink with your favorite artists. So grab yourself a cold sarsaparilla, take your pants off, kick back, and enjoy. I don't know about you, I take comfort in that.
All right. In this episode, I am joined with portrait photographer Niah Aldrich, and she's on the other side of Missouri right now. Arguably, maybe the cooler city in Missouri. Niah, welcome.
Hello. It's definitely way cooler than Kansas City and safer.
Wait, way cooler than Kansas City? St. Louis?
Yeah. Kansas City is way cooler than St. Louis.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It's like way safer. There's way more things to do. Just come over here. Come to the dark side.
Yeah. I mean, I go to Kansas City as much as possible. Do you ever come to St. Louis? Is it just like, no way?
You know, like every once in a while, but you know.
Only when you're forced to?
I don't want to get mugged.
Yep.
I'm kidding, you know.
Just when you miss the arch.
It's like an evening.
Do you come just to see the arch?
Exactly. You know, it's just like one of those statements, you know, you go to you know, Paris, and you want to see the Eiffel Tower, you know, it's like, yep. oh, there it is. It's giant. It's there. It's like this just arch. I haven't gone up it yet. Have you gone up it?
Just once, and that was all. That's all I needed to see.
I feel that. No, St. Louis is cool. You guys got the Cardinals.
Yeah, I mean,
you're a baseball team.
Yeah. Are you big into baseball? Are you a Royals fan?
I love the Royals. The Royals are great.
It's a different league, so you can root for both.
That's true. That's true.
If we were both in the same national league, it would not be the same. But
true. I mean, yeah. So.
All right. So portrait photography. Are you a portrait photographer? How do you?
Am I a portrait photographer? Yes, I am a portrait photographer. I would say I love taking pictures of people, whether that's headshots, like high school seniors. I do a lot of really bougie adult birthday photos.
Ooh.
It's exactly what it sounds like. Like, you know, when like the 1-year-olds do their cake smash and it's like a big thing, you take them to the studio and there's balloons and a cake and like all that kind of stuff. I do that for adults and it's a big thing and I love it. And that's what I mostly, for like clients and stuff like that, that's mostly what I'm doing. And then also maternity, very fun maternity photos and just what portraits are, right? So all in between for portraits. I prefer that one-on-one though.
Are people searching for really bougie portrait photographer near me? Is that a search term?
I know, right? I don't know. I feel like I'm like the Atlanta like photographer in Kansas City because it's like if you look at like the Atlanta style, I feel like for birthdays or anything like that, you'd be like, oh, that looks like Niah, you know? And since there's not like a lot of people doing that in Kansas City, I think it just like it's kind of just gravitated towards that way. And it's fun because it's not boring, you know, it's everyone always comes like your birthday, right? It's like, I'm going to get my hair done and my makeup done and all these things and my outfit's going to be on point. Like, this is for my birthday. This is me. You're not going to come into a photo shoot and be like, oh my gosh, well, I have to get my headshot done because my work is saying that. Like, no, like I'm going to come in. It's all about me. Look at me. Like, you're going to have a good time because it's my birthday photo shoot. So it's just so much fun.
I'm going to book you. I got a birthday.
Exactly.
I have never had a bougie birthday photo shoot. So
exactly. I'm like spotlight, throne chairs. We need to get you a king hat, you know, king crown. We're doing it. You gotta come down.
I'm
It's
on
like, what,
board.
3 hours? Two and a
Yeah,
half, 3? Let's do it.
Yep. I'm gonna take the
All right.
train. We're gonna drink the whole way there.
Oh man, we're gonna get lit for your birthday. Let's go.
All right. So how did this come about? Like, walk me through your timeline of when you first picked up a camera to when you were like, I'm a professional.
Yeah, so basically my grandpa was kind of like a photographer hobbyist. He's kind of always had a camera in his hand. He's more like, you get a new car, it's like, "Oh, go stand outside, let me take a picture of you in your new car." And, there's just albums upon albums upon albums at his house. And then my dad kind of just picked up that joy of like the camera. He's really into like drawing and art as well, but he took some photography courses in college and kind of, did some weddings here and there, did some, all my dance recitals or sports or just like all of that. And he's kind of more like kind of just quiet, reserved kind of Mexican dad. And so since I'm the girl in the family, I wasn't really into sports or, that's why I like the Royals because we could at least do that together. But so that was kind of like our way to do that together and like that we could talk about and like he could show me and just connect. And so I took that and streamlined it into, living, breathing, everything photography. So I've had a camera in my hand probably since like age 5. I joke because my room before I was born was a dark room. So it's just destined to be like a professional photographer, right? So
you have like that smell, like probably like you grew up with that smell, probably like deep in the paint.
Exactly, which no offense to like film photographers. I'm like, I think because I had to do it so much in high school and like all that, I'm like, I'm good. I'll let you guys do the film. I'm gonna stick to my digital. I'm impatient. I want to see what it looks like right now,
right?
And go. But I mean, it is beautiful, and I like, you're having to really slow down because you only get so many shots. But I actually, funny story, a company recently reached out to me and they're like, "Oh, like if you send us like in your film or something, like we'll develop it." And I was like, "Oh, great." Because I've had basically when I go to my dad's work, we had these disposable cameras. And so like from like age 5 and up, I've got these cameras, the disposable ones that I would just take pictures. I've got some for my birthday and like these work events. And I want to know what 5-year-old Niah saw. And I don't know, obviously, since it's so old, if the film is going to come out, but I'm like really excited. I'm going to actually probably send off that film to be processed this week.
So you would, as a kid, you would take all these photos and then you just never got them developed?
Yeah, I don't know why they never got them developed. It's heartbreaking.
Right? I mean,
but maybe they would have got lost. So I mean, maybe it's more exciting now.
Like this is your mom or dad's like issue, right? Like why didn't they do that?
Exactly. I mean,
I can't drive. I mean, I'm stating the obvious. Come on.
It's expensive. It's expensive to get your film done.
It's also expensive to keep buying you little disposable cameras, right?
I mean, I feel like his work probably like gave them to them and stuff. So I'm really excited for that. But I remember
right now, like dial them in and get
Dad,
to the of why.
What the heck? Why didn't you develop these photos? Yeah. It's like these old Sears logos and stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I should have brought them out so I could show you. I'll have to send you a picture later of them, but I'll let you know if any of them come out. But basically, I had the film cameras up until 4th grade. We didn't take a lot of family vacations growing up, but we went on a couple, and one of them, my dad really saved when we went to the Cayman Islands, which of course, beautiful, right? Just, it's the Caribbean. And basically he had gotten, we were Nikon growing up. So we had like, I don't know, like a DH or something, big camera. And he had gotten a, what is it? The housing that you could take it under the water. And I guess just for some reason it wasn't sealed correctly and it got damaged from the water. So we had to get a camera in the Cayman Islands. And it was this, just like this Nikon little point and shoot, but like you could flip it around and you could like take selfies almost. But I mean, your iPhone takes better pictures than this camera now. And so when we got back, obviously it was like, here, you can have this camera, because obviously compared to his big professional, camera, it's obviously not his camera of choice. But I took that thing. I had that in my hand and took that to everything up until probably middle school, until my neighbor was like, okay, this girl always have a camera. Like, here is a nicer camera. Like, just here,
just the
take
neighbor?
it.
Just
Yeah,
like,
the
here.
neighbor. Yeah, the neighbor was like, here. I mean, I'm sure like I could have used my dad's camera, and like after that, like I would too, after like he saw like, okay, like this is what I want to do. But so yeah, no, I've always been taking pictures. I went to my high school reunion on Saturday, and everyone's like, oh, so what'd you end up doing? And I'm like, I'm a photographer. I know everybody's shocked. Like, I do photography full time. That's what I do. And they're like, not surprised. Could see that coming. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Live and breathing since I was born, basically. So let's see. So yep, so I've had that. I took all the classes I possibly could in high school. I was very blessed. We had a lot of photography programs in school, and my teacher really poured into me. And I basically ended up going, not, I know college isn't for everybody, but I'm like, I needed to get out and do something. But there was, so Northwest College in Powell, Wyoming, they have one of the biggest commercial studio spaces in the nation. And a lot of photography schools, it's a lot of fine art based. They don't teach you lighting or like the business stuff necessarily, because what is the number one, what is the Chicago Art Institute maybe? And I had a friend go in there, and it was like really fine art or journalism, right? Fine art or journalism, but not necessarily like commercial photography and food photography and just like all that. So basically I send out these posters to all the high schools that have photography programs. And my high school teacher at the time, Adam Finkelstein, he was like, oh, this looks like you. And I was like, yes, all of this stuff does look like me. And so I ended up calling the school, getting an interview, going out to Wyoming, like 30 minutes away from Yellowstone National Park, and ended up registering that day and went there for 2.5 years. One of the coolest parts about going to school in Wyoming for the commercial photography, other than we had all the Broncolor and Profoto and all the cool stuff, but was one of our classes was actually to go to Yellowstone National Park for 2 days and just take pictures in the park of the animals, different landscapes and stuff like that. I mean, you can't ask for a more beautiful place to take photos. I say that, but it was definitely challenging because I used to hate taking pictures outside. And well, if you're in Wyoming, there's kind of nothing else to do rather than take pictures inside. Like, I mean, outside in the like outside with
Drink
nature
on the
and mountains, or but I'm like, my work is so colorful, so everything is brown and dead. So that was a challenge on its own.
Your work is very vibrant, saturated,
Yes.
like really rich, deep colors. So is that intentional? Like, is this your, like, how would you describe your style?
I would definitely. Okay, so Lisa Frank, I don't know. I would hope you know who Lisa Frank is, right? If you don't, just think. Yes, all the binders.
I mean,
the lunch boxes, the pencils, the erasers, stationery.
Yep. Yeah.
The rainbow tigers, unicorns. So basically, I was obsessed with Lisa Frank growing up.
Who wasn't? Name me one person that wasn't. All right, and I'll show you a liar. I will show you.
I'm like, I know the girls. I don't even know. Gosh, back in the day, I mean, now it's all different stuff that people are like, we had it good in the 90s. Okay. Yeah. 90s stationery. Yep. So I definitely I owe her so much. So I feel like my love of colors, like I've always been into just neon, and just pushing color to the max. Whether that's changing green, because like a green screen, right? Like if you go outside, not in Wyoming, obviously, but when we lived in Florida, everything was green. And so it was so easy to create these like magical kind of locations, like changing the green to blue or yellow or magenta, and like just pop in like crazy while still maintaining like the client's or the subject's natural color. So I've always been about that. I mean, even growing up, I was always in animal print, and I was always in some bright neon blue shirt with a zebra on it, or, you know, something. I've always had these crazy animal patterns. So I definitely feel like I've toned that down. I'm actually wearing a colorful shirt today. I was like, okay, Niah, her work is so colorful. Let's wear like a green shirt. I'm normally always in black. Black. You know, black looks good with everything. And then I feel like the expression and creativity all moved into my work instead of what I dress like. So creative expression instead of what we're wearing into my work.
Fun fact about Lisa Frank, did you know that she did LSD almost every day for 5 years to come up with a lot of those designs?
I did not, but
It's a fun
I do
fact
now.
I just made it up.
Gosh,
How
I mean,
else-
it would explain a
how
lot.
else- Listen, those colors, those rainbows, listen, that's not coming out of a sober brain. Let me tell you that right now.
That's true. Nope. That's very true. She was tripping on something.
All right. So what was your first paying gig in photography? How did you start out?
My first paid gig, we're going to jump very back first. So in 6th grade, I wasn't paid, but I took my cousin's senior pictures in 6th grade. And they actually weren't that bad. I looked at them the other day. They weren't that bad. Those were fine because they weren't edited, you know. And then Pick Monkey and Picnic became a thing. And then I edited everyone's photos.
Pick Monkey.
It was Picnic first. And then Pick Monkey bought them. And so I used to edit everyone's photos. And my dad even had to bribe me to get my driver's license with it. He's like, I'll buy you the professional premium features if you just go get your driver's license.
So Pick Monkey, like you were an editor on Pick Monkey? Or like,
yeah, so it's like an editing software.
Is it still around?
Honestly, you could probably look up Pick Monkey right now, and it might.
I feel like I'm gonna get some really sketchy results. Look up.
It's actually still there. It is still there. So look up Pick Monkey. It's crazy, but I mean, it's just bad. So we definitely got bad before we got better. But anyway, people would see me editing people's stuff, see me taking pictures of like, oh, well, will you take my daughter's senior pictures? And so basically, my first paying gig was I was going to go to, I think, Ecuador for a missions trip, and I was trying to raise money to go. I ended up getting mono and didn't get to go, but that's what started me charging and taking money from people. So I started taking senior pictures to save up for this trip, and then it just grew and grew and grew, and then went to college, learned all about the lighting and the studio photography and portraits and business, and they teach you food, all of those things, and then kind of ask you, okay, what do you want to specialize in? And then the second year you just kind of focus on that. And then I basically, once I went to school for it, they do mock interviews at the end of the year. Basically they have some photographers who were out there, you know, killing it, doing it full time. And basically one of them really liked my work, and they actually offered me a job with them in Laramie, Wyoming. So I ended up moving to Laramie, Wyoming, and basically being, I wouldn't say like an add-on to like his company. So he was really focusing on the weddings, and then I was gonna do like high school seniors and the families, which I'm not a big family photographer. Like I try, and then I'm like, no, my love isn't in that. And unfortunately, I learned that the hard way, I think, because like I think there was just like the misunderstanding where I was like, okay, I'm going to do high school seniors, you know, okay, maybe I'll do some families. But then the work that I was getting was mostly families. And as somebody straight out of college still, you know, who is still very new to like charging and just, you know, new to that scene, right? Of like that business world, I actually almost quit photography altogether, which nothing against that person, just how he runs the business was just different than me. I prefer at the editing, I prefer like spinning, like my clients choosing the photos that I want to like the edit. Like I'm proud of the photos that I'm taking in camera, and then them choosing, and then me spending that time to create this masterpiece and this, you know, this work of art. And I think that's what separates. And I think, you know, their business model was, okay, you edit everything beforehand, and then you go and you present it to them, and then basically you just give them to them right there, like they're done, which I can spend hours editing one single photo. So for me, I hate culling, I hate choosing photos to begin with. So for me, that really sucked the joy out of it for me, just because I just couldn't sit down and edit thousands of photos, which, you know, they might pick 5, they might pick 10. So I ended up taking a break from photography and shooting everything but portraits for I would say maybe a year. You know, at that time, urbexing was a thing. You remember when people would go up on those skyscrapers? Urbexing, you know, the abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
urbexing. Come on. Like those abandoned buildings, and you know, doing not like, don't do that, you know. But you know, shame on young Niah. But
Wait,
it's fun. I wouldn't do that now. Well, it's illegal. You know, people die.
Well, I mean,
And there's asbestos, you know, going up on top of those like skyscrapers and like doing all that kind of stuff. I mean, you could fall. I mean, on some of them, and I'm just like, sure, it was beautiful, but I'm like, okay.
So let's go through the security system.
I know.
Through to get up there, like, are you just
exactly? You're just kind of like propping doors, like going in, acting like you're supposed to be there, and then just trying to like get in every door until you're at the top, and then you know, kind of like, you know, I wasn't the one. I have had friends that would go in with crowbars or certain things too.
All right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they would be breaking and entering.
That's breaking and entering.
Yes, that's breaking and entering. Now I, for real, promise, mom and dad did not do that.
Young Niah wouldn't do that.
No, I mean, well, now Niah, no. Everyone's like, oh, let's go into that abandoned building, because of course, if you, the West Bottoms and stuff. And I mean, even I've done some cool abandoned buildings in your area, which looking back, I feel like an idiot. But
half of them are abandoned, so there's quite a bit.
This is true. But some of the cop was like there was this cop that stopped us in St. Louis. They're like, you shouldn't be in this area. Like, we're gonna like follow you out. Like, you shouldn't. Like, they were just more worried about like our safety, or like, you should be in this area. You need to go down the street. So
very common.
But I mean, it was cool. I feel like whenever you create just lots of different things, and you hang out with, you know, people that do, you know, architecture and sports, or just have like those photography like gatherings and meetups with people who shoot all these different things, I feel like you learn a lot and you kind of gain a new perspective. I feel like I really love environmental portraits right now. But I think if I wouldn't have had that time where I kind of stepped away from portraits and just took pictures of everything, like landscapes, architecture, just all those little things, I don't think I would have gained that perspective. So now I feel like, you know, I'm like, okay, I got to look up or look around and just pay attention to the background as well as like the subject. And so I think that really plays into my work now. I think a lot of people which get, you know, inspiration, you know, scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest and Tumblr, and those are all really great things. I personally love my love for color. So I will go drive around the city, look for really cool, colorful buildings or murals or just different kinds of texture. And then I will get inspiration from that. I'll be like, oh, I've got this outfit that would be great for that. Or I find a building and I'm like, okay, now I got to go find an outfit. Like, I love thrift shopping and like finding outfits. And then thinking, oh, I've got a model that would be great for that. And then of course, like in my phone, I've got like a list of models saved for each location, you know, Kansas City, Florida, wherever I'm going, I've got a list. And I just try to pull and kind of basically look at the models' Instagram and be like, okay, like, who are they? What's their aesthetic? What is an outfit that I can put them in that I feel like they'll feel confident, they'll feel good, that will fit their personality, I feel like. Which of course there's still, you know, hey, I know this might not be part of your thing, like, will you mind doing this? And they can be like yes or no, because sometimes I know the colorful stuff isn't for everybody. I'm like, let's do something crazy and colorful, and then okay, we'll do something toned down for you or your page. But most of the time, everyone, I've had really good luck with the stuff that I've pulled, being able to like meet them, talk to them, kind of get the vibe of them, and then pick an outfit in a location based on like them and their comfort level. So
I mean,
it's
I would
fun.
have to assume that since a lot of your work on Instagram is very colorful, that
Yeah.
people are reaching out to you because that's the style they want.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially with the birthdays, I would say most of my clientele is people of color, and just like those bright, colorful, like hot pinks and yellows. I mean, that just pops their skin so beautifully. And like they just look amazing in like hot pinks and yellows and all these fun colors. And so I feel like it just gravitates, and we get to do all this fun, awesome stuff, which I love. But then also, I've found, which is really sad, not a lot of people know how to photograph dark skin tones. And that goes a long way. It's not even like photographing. I mean, that's to do with like hair and makeup and just all these certain things. I've done Kansas City Fashion Week a few times, and I've had, models or my friends come up to me, crying because, they put the wrong product in their hair. Their makeup is, 10 shades too light, and like all these things. So I just think that learning how to be diverse in your photography and knowing like presets, which sure they're great starting points, presets aren't made for everybody. They are meant to be tweaked and changed. And you have to figure out and learn lighting and making everybody feel comfortable and confident and good and capturing who they see in in the mirror and making them feel better, because it's such an empowering experience. I'm basically I'm 25% Cuban and 25% Mexican. I live in the studio, so I never go outside, but I can get super dark. But it's just, a lot of people will be like, I didn't think a white girl would get it, which, I'm half white, but I think there's just something about that like it makes me happy that I'm here, that I can provide that, and that I can and build that confidence. But at the end of the day, it makes me like sad. And so if you're listening to this, I encourage you, please diversify your work, learn, get better. It's, I love my 7-foot umbrella. It just throws light everywhere, especially with dark skin tones, just lighting them so that their skin color just pops. I mean, even if you go outside, I know with lighter skin tones, I prefer more in the shade, but with darker skin tones, if I don't have a flash, I will actually usually put them in direct sun so that their skin and like their highlights and just everything just pop more. And I promise you, like at the end of the day, like it's the most rewarding thing in the world. Just that 95% of my clients are people of color. I think that's so special to me. I mean, they could easily go to somebody else, and it's it makes me cry sometimes, because just hearing stories and things it's just really empowering. And more people I think just need to learn and get that down. So
Yeah. I mean, there's a very common saying, you got to have the work to get the work. And
yeah.
the people that don't have that work, and let's say like they grew up shooting their family, which was all one color,
Yeah.
like that leads to more of the same thing, because you've demonstrated that you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to bring in. So, I mean, what advice would you have for people that want to diversify, but maybe like can't get that work? So like, how do they start out?
I would definitely just get on Instagram, look up, I guess for me, like I always look up like hashtag Kansas City model, hashtag KC model, and I just make a list. I mean, there's got to be Facebook groups in your local area as well. Like just make some notes, reach out, just have that communication, be like, hey, like I want to get better at this. I want to learn. Like, can we practice? I mean, there's meetups and things. There's like they always have like IG Kansas City or different things. Like I'm sure there's meetups in the area. Those are great networking events to go and meet models and get photos. But flash is great. Like, LED lights are great. Like just even still learning with the natural light, especially with different skin tones, what's going to look better for people's complexions and stuff too. YouTube University, PRO EDU. What are we at right now? I guarantee you there's a video on like lighting and all that. So just don't be afraid to ask people to take pictures and just start that line of communication and just be honest and just share that, I want to learn, I want to get better. Can we do this to you? I'll give you the photos. Can we do a trade? Like I want to learn.
So how do you keep learning? Like how often are you seeking out new ways to do stuff?
Oh, I mean, always. I mean, one, I think you learn by doing and you like challenging yourself in new different lighting techniques and different things, but also two, YouTube. And I've got a ton of PRO EDU videos that I need to watch as well that I've gotten from
Wait,
Black
you got
Friday
them
sales.
and didn't
I
watch
have
them?
them. I have them. Okay, I will like. You can't download them anymore.
Yes,
Like
you can.
Okay, well, I haven't figured it out. I used to have them all downloaded, and then I bought more, but then it's like you can only watch them online or something. And then my ADD, okay, we'll just have to sit down and be like,
I am sitting
So I
down.
have
You're
some.
sitting down.
Yeah,
You want to
yeah.
go through this right now?
Yeah, right. I was like, I'm sure people would love to hear about that. So I'll we'll talk. I do. I have like some really great videos from some people in St. Louis.
Of the ones that you have watched, which have been your like favorite?
Oh, there was some ones on frequency separation that I really liked, just using like, it wasn't like the normal it was like frequency separation, like the commercial world. So like how they did it with like the shoes and like all these different things. Like it wasn't necessarily like the skin retouching. I think I've kind of got that down with the frequency separation. Cause like at first I had no idea that like I think when people think of frequency separation, they think of, okay, the lasso tool and using the Gaussian blur, or what is it? Oh, yeah, anyway, Gaussian blur or whatever, doing the lasso and doing that. But they don't realize, the texture layer, you can actually move texture with like the clone and where you want it. And using like the mixer brush and all that stuff, like that was all new to me, I think, when that video came out. And so that like really opened up my mind. I was like, what? You can do all of this? Like you don't just have to use the lasso? Like there was no good videos. It was like this hush, like kept secret, right? Everyone's like, no, you can't know about frequency separation. Frequency separation is awful. Shame on frequency separation. They just get such a bad name.
Yeah.
But there's so many amazing ways, not even portrait related, that you can use it that are just game changing. So I've watched that one, and then some of the gels ones I've watched, and
with Jake
some other ones.
the king of gels.
The king of gels. That's something I want. That's like my next thing. I feel like I want to get better at gelling.
Are you jealous?
No, not yet. Like I'll gel a little bit, but like I want to be on like Jake Hicks gel level, because my work is super colorful, right? So I'm like, I need to like gel it up to the next level to provide even more colorful, like neon in your face type attitude. Man, sick, bruh.
It could be Niah neon in your face.
Yeah, I know. Hey Jake, if you hear me, like let's gel it up. No.
Well, let's get into, without further ado, your portfolio. And
I sent you a bunch of photos like way late.
Not so good. How many hours per day would you say you spend on Instagram?
Not as much as I used to. I mean, I can go days without going on Instagram now. I think.
But before it was a serious.
Before it was a serious thing. But I feel like I think Reels killed it. I feel like when COVID happened, it was like Instagram, and it was like that sense of community, and we were all doing FFA, which I'm like, I don't even know, free for all. I think that's what it is, like editing contests. Like we would just 5 photographers and it'd be like, all right, here's the raws, everybody go edit, and then we'll come back in a week or two and we'll pick our favorite one, and you get a one-on-one with somebody. Or I did an editing contest with Nikon sent me 2 cameras, and we literally sent the 2 winners like actual cameras. So there's there can be all sorts of prizes. And I feel like, so that kind of brought the community together, and we would all do that. And then once everything lifted, I think, and the reels started coming on, I think people were just like, okay, like I'm over it. Like you weren't seeing anybody, your friends' photos anymore. Like they were just pushing reels. Like I just wasn't getting that sense of community. But then also I feel like people were like communitied out. They're like, okay, like I need a break. I need to step outside, get my life together, relearn how to live in a community outside of our apartments and house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to like find that middle ground of trying to get back on, because I guess I felt like I was getting a lot of business and community out of Instagram at that time, like COVID and before. But then once reels and after COVID, I felt like I wasn't getting that sense of community anymore. Like it was just more of a frustration. I wasn't feeling inspired, and I wasn't getting work from it. And so I was like, okay, well, I need to focus on my local Kansas City market, get my my Google Analytics and just word of mouth and just my client base back in Kansas City. Because at the end of the day, like Instagram has a lot of photographers, but not a lot of full-time photographers. And so this is what I do full-time. So I was like, okay, well, if this isn't making me money, and I don't know necessarily, okay, well, like the influencer route, which again, nothing against influencers. I'm still technically an influencer, but I just would say I'm an influencer second and a full-time photographer first.
Yeah.
And my clients and my full-time photography and those people come first, and my art and some of like these cool things come second, which I'm trying to just, I think I'm in that space of trying to get back into it and find that middle ground of trying to, I still need to create for me. And I feel like I haven't. I feel like lately, yes, but just trying to find the time to create more of this amazing like art and colorful stuff for myself and the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Finding the balance is hard.
No, I can relate to that. So this is the first photo you have pinned. So let's hear the story on this.
So this was in Utah back, I think the late end of August. Yes, August 30th. This was at Sony basically contacted me, and they flew me out to where is that? It's Snowbird, Utah. I was like, basically, I think it's like outside of Salt Lake City, I think. And this was the last photo of, this was like our last day, last photo. We were just basically surrounded by these wildflowers and like this mountain ski resort. And I just was like, I was trying to find this model because I'd seen her earlier, and I like basically ended up like FaceTime her. I'm like, where are you? The sun is going down. I need you to I need to get this photo, because this was shot with the new 16-35 G Master 2 that they had just announced that week. And I was like, this is the shot. This is the photo that like you dream about, I guess. It's like I've always wanted to take a photo like this like my entire life, and like this is that photo.
Like Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Like Westworld, kind of vibes. And then this one, I styled that entire shoot. I just love, I don't know, I'm really into women in jumpsuits right now. So anytime I find, or not jumpsuits, but women in suits. So anytime I find just a super colorful, crazy blazer and pantsuit match, I automatically buy it. And then I just pull either from, with that, what we did was, since it was a very patterned suit, we did a gel with a spotlight and it's basically a patterned gobo, just to pull the colors from her pantsuit into like the background, just so that it all kind of flows. So since it's like a floral backdrop, we did a navy blue backdrop, and then we used a gel to kind of pop some orange so that it popped her skin tone even more, and just like those blues and oranges in her outfit.
So this pattern you created on.
So it's, yes. So the pattern is basically, it's a gobo that you put into the spotlight. And so the gobo is, so it's like a circle, basically, and it has like, there's different textures, like there's palm trees, and there's a circle, and there's a heart, and there's a star, and they, all these different shapes. Yeah. I know. I like literally, it's right there. I'm just so tempted to pull it and just be like, so just this is the heart and the star. And then you put it in and then it creates these shapes on the backdrop, like a projector. It's a projection kind of.
And what
basically.
do you use for your projector? Like, what lights are you using?
So for this one, the reason I bought, it's the Westcott Lindsay Adler spotlight. And I paired it with the Godox E1600.
Nice.
Because and then what's nice about the Westcott one is it's a Canon adapter ring, so if you can get other lenses and mount it on there. So I think I've got like a 24-105, so I can really control the shape and how small the light is and how big it is, how big I want the the circle or the shape on the background. And of course, having the 600 power, it needs to be super powerful in order to create that sometimes, because you lose a lot of light with the spotlight.
Yeah. So vampires.
I know. Okay, so this was in New York. This was at a few weeks ago. Sony released the A9 III and the 300 millimeter 2.8, and they basically opened this event up to the public, and they had all these crazy freaking sets. And this was one of the sets where I was like, I didn't take a lot of pictures, but I took on this one. I hadn't shot with the Sony A1, but like, look at that.
Nice.
And so they just had a billion of these really cool sets. So that was, I had to post that one.
1 billion? That's a lot of sets.
1 billion. I don't know. Did I say 1 billion? They had a million. 1 billion, a million.
1 billion.
And this one was shot outside. Basically, the sun was coming in through the windows, creating this really cool lines on her face.
This is also in New York, or
this one was also in Utah at the Sony event, which was so cool. I've never been to an event like that. It's like they flew out all these photographers, influencers, just not because I'm not an ambassador, but obviously all the ambassadors were there, and then like other people that just like I tag Sony on everything. So they're like, oh, hey, you want to come to this? Like, we see that you're tagging, come hang out with us. And it was amazing. Like, they had speakers, they had basically all of their Sony arsenal, like gear was there. So like you could check out anything you wanted. You can shoot with any lens. Obviously they had like the 16-35 that just came out, and the ACR and the ACR2, I think. Yeah, AC. It's a compact one. Like, oh, you're fired. And so I think this one was shot with one of their new cameras. So it was really cool. They had all these models. So all these ones that you're looking at right now, we could check out models. And they had hairstylists and makeup, and we got to just shoot all these amazing, talented, beautiful people for 45 minutes and create these amazing photos. Which this one was my favorite. Like that one, it just screams me. Just like that color dominant, almost monochromatic look. I wasn't even supposed to shoot this model, and I was going in and walking by, and I saw that outfit, and I was like, whoa, like I need to shoot this look. I need to make this happen. And
got your
so
crowbar
I ended up signing in.
doing it.
Yes. And so the hat, the freaking jacket, and those pants, I was like, we're going over here to this green grass and these wildflowers. Is actually under like a bridge, just for some partial shade. Like it was in Utah, and it was bright and sunny at like high noon, like the hardest time to shoot ever. But when you're a photographer, right, it's like you make do with what you got. You look for the light, you look for the shade, you look for just like the best light possible, and you make it work. You create those works of art.
Yep.
Just like on these, so you're looking at these the mountain is all like blue. Basically the sunset was happening on the opposite side. This was on top of the mountain, like super high up, like super high, like people were passing out. We had like the oxygen air bottles where we could like breathe in air, and people were passing out just because we weren't getting a lot of oxygen on the top of this mountain. And everyone was shooting on the other side because the sunset, but I was just digging and loving like the moon and just the way that the light and like the blues of the mountain and the gradient of the sky.
Yeah.
So
I almost wore
I
this
was
jacket
like,
today. That would have been awkward.
oh, I have it too. I should just go put it on right now for you.
Yeah, I know, right?
I've got it in red and green.
Red and green?
Yeah. You kidding me? You should see. My stuff is super colorful, but most people don't wear colorful stuff on a daily basis. So I have racks
Joking.
and racks and racks of stuff that I don't wear, but I throw my models in. And it's just so many jackets and fun things to just throw on. Because sometimes like clients will come in and I'm like, like, let's try this. You know, sometimes it doesn't always look the best, or maybe I want to like, let's try this, and just because we have extra time, like let's throw on this jacket or this jumpsuit and just have a little fun. So it's definitely super colorful and rainbow on my client closet. And see, I just love, see women in suits with color, either monochromatic or complementary colors and like all these things. It's funny, I was thinking back, when I was in college and we had a color theory class, and it was my favorite class, but I struggled so hard with it. And I was like trying to figure out why. And then I was like, okay, well, it was Wyoming. There wasn't any colors outside. But then I realized they didn't have a lot of backdrop color selections. Like it was basically thunder gray, black, and, like our white sweep, which I understand paper is expensive. And I'm like, oh, well, that's why. Because there literally was no color anywhere around for me to pull. So it really made me really have to think and try extra hard for like these color assignments. Because whenever I think of, monochromatic and color, I'm not thinking of like, okay, that was all white. This is all red. But since I didn't have a red background.
Yeah.
So, and I guess I don't think of all white or all black when I think of monochromatic, which it is. It's just, that's not always fun. I'm like, I want to do something fun and colorful and all reds or greens or blues or pinks. I want to go crazy and just really push that all just crazy. I love selective color. And
where'd this hairstyle come from? Like, this is
so
incredible.
Yeah, the makeup artist did that. So she basically, I think, had some wire and then made it in the shape like the heart, and then wrapped the hair around it, and then kind of basically attached it to her bun.
That's really fun. Did this have anything to do with Valentine's Day, with like the red and the hearts? Or
I believe so. I think it was a Valentine's Day shoot.
Nice.
Right.
Just for her?
Yeah, just for the makeup artist and hair. We just wanted to do something fun. I'm probably going to do just one of those creative projects that just keep you pushing and challenging yourself, because I feel like I can get sucked into the same repetition with my clients and they all want the same thing, and you're not really learning or growing, and you can kind of get bored pretty fast. So like with this, I styled all of that. I bought all the backdrops, all the stuff, basically a Cassie vintage bag. They sent me this bag. And so from that bag, I put all this together.
This is awesome.
And it was so great. So just, you got to do those creative projects sometimes.
Yeah. All right. What's the story behind this one?
This one, I had a model friend coming in from Dallas, and basically I was like, I've got this jumpsuit that I think would look really good. And there was this location that I've always wanted to shoot with in Lee Summit, Missouri. And basically this is a barbecue joint, but it's got these old fashioned gasoline pumps that used to work in the day that they're just there. And so we threw her in there and got with these photos just to tie it all together.
Nice.
We're using a reflector here. This is all natural light. And then obviously I'm so close to Kansas. I grew up in Kansas, which is like 15 minutes away from downtown Kansas City, Missouri. And we have Grinter Farms, which is one of the most beautiful rated in the nation, which only blooms once a year. So we threw her in the field of sunflowers, and so magical.
Nice.
And this is in Dallas. This is at Maker's Gym, which is a photo studio. But they have all these, like, it's kind of like a WeWork, but for photographers. And so this is just one of the booths that people can just kind of sit down and like hang out. But the light was coming in so beautifully from the window and creating like this abstract window light that I just couldn't resist playing with the light with her. And that blue, that green and blue just really pop.
Yeah, love it. Are there any photos on here that have a really crazy story that you want to go over, or just any like that you want to talk about?
Let me see. I'm thinking.
Any near-death experiences would work too.
I know, these are all in studio.
You
So
could almost die in the studio.
oh yeah, I haven't set anything on fire at all or done anything yet, knock on wood.
Make this a little bigger.
Yeah, these are all crazy colors. I'm trying to think. Okay, let me see. Scroll down a little bit more.
All right, so you're working with gels a little bit here. Yeah.
That one was in Dallas again. This was at the Sweet Tooth hotel, and what we did for that one, they had this crazy car and all these cool setups, but to create that light, we used the Luxley cello, like where you can kind of see right there, just to create just a little bit more dimension on her face and a little bit more gel on the side of her. And then in Photoshop, I was able to kind of just change some more colors and just pop her some more. Yeah, and there's a lot of these old ones, you can see a lot of before and afters. And I couldn't decide. If you like go back to my old work, I would do just basically just tons and tons of different color changing just to play with different color theories. And I love using like on these, the texture and like the blue of her shirt, just playing that in just to pop more of her. I love like when they have crazy patterns on their sleeve, just basically having her hands up around her head just to pop that more and separate like that. That is a spider.
Is that a tattoo or a real spider?
No, it's like a fake spider. It was Halloween time.
Okay.
But there's a photo. There's this guy and he's peeping out of the paper, which, you know, breaks my heart every time I see it because paper's so expensive now.
Wait, like recently backdrop paper got really expensive?
Dude, it's like $100 a roll now.
Really?
Yeah. Basically, I have my photography business, right? But then there's kind of a need in Kansas City for just more spaces for other photographers to create. And so I've got like 30 backdrop colors for people to choose from. And I rent out the space to other photographers. And I've had to get plexiglass, which I don't go from Home Depot. Like if you have basically a plastic supply company or something, oftentimes they'll have all these different colors and stuff. But it basically protects the paper. Whoa, so tricky. It protects the paper so that the footprints aren't on them. And it kind of gives like this reflection on the ground of like the person standing. You can kind of see them. And it gives like a cool kind of perspective, mirror almost look. But it saved me a ton of money. And the reason that I put it down is a lot of photographers don't know how to Photoshop out like footprints or don't want to spend the time, you know. Of course, like I have like the Retouch For Me, they have like a background cleanup action, and like, there's a ton of different ones that, you know, help, but not everyone is super advanced in that retrospective Photoshop. People open that, they're like, what is this? Whereas I think some people are more comfortable with Lightroom. I obviously do Photoshop and Lightroom, but so that helps, and everyone has been super happy and pleased with the plexiglass situation.
So you're using Photoshop and Lightroom. Do you use Capture One? And like, what is your approach to post-production these days?
Yeah, so I use Capture One to tether. I know that Capture One does, with Sony colors, render better. I open it and I get very, very overwhelmed because I just have my system in Lightroom for culling, and basically with Capture One, you can like star a bunch of photos, but like I want to like open them all up and like view them and then just like remove stuff like I do in Lightroom. But it'll be like, it'll show like 10 or something, and it'll be like in the bottom, it'll be like, see 27 more, but you can't like click on those. And so I just get frustrated. I feel like it's almost like the camera situation. I feel like people get overwhelmed with Sony cameras because it's so customizable and like you can change it to kind of fit, you know, what you like, but it can be like there's just so much that you can change and do, so it can get really overwhelming to people. I feel like that's like Capture One. It's like you can set it up so that it's more like Lightroom, but it's like getting the help to like set it up. It's like I open it up and there's all these things and it's just so different, right? And you're like, I'm gonna come back to this. So that is my next goal, is to, I did Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It was 50% off on all of them, and I just got an iPad because I want to use my iPad to tether more instead of my laptop and computer. So that's my next goal. Everyone keeps saying Capture One, the color. So,
But can't you create that color in Lightroom the same way?
yeah, I mean, like, obviously my work is so colorful. Everyone always gets such crap on Lightroom. I'm like, I don't know, you tell me.
I like them both.
So yeah, I'm like, so I just use that. So, but as like interesting stories, with my photos, I know, I'm sure there's like a billion, right? But there was a photo. It's not in the ones I sent you. I think you were almost there on my Instagram, but there is a photo of this guy named Major. He is a music artist. He's done some stuff with Justin Bieber. He's like best friends with Martin Garrix. And at the time, I didn't realize it. I had taken photos of his sister. I guess his mom lives in town. And so she had contacted me. She's like, hey, my brother's Major. He's wanting to do a shoot with you. Is that fine? If so, like, I'll have him contact you. So it's like he did. And we set up this shoot, but like, I didn't know how long I was going to have him. I didn't know what he was going to wear and like all these different things. So I was like, okay. So basically me and some friends got together and we put up like, I think 3 or 4 different just like crazy sets. One of them, we had him like rip in the paper. Another one, it almost looked like fire was like coming from behind him because we used some gels and a smoke machine. And so basically it looked like he was just on fire. And then we did some, again, my poor paper. We just crumpled a ton of paper and just like put it on the ground and like made this, like we kind of folded it and like put it on a stand. So there's just like, just some more dimension in the photos, and it just wasn't just the simple backdrop color. So those are some of my favorite photos that I've taken. Granted, I was like so stressed out and scared. Luckily, like we got there like way before to try out all these different lighting setups, and thank goodness for all my friends, because like, okay, we have to do all these setups. We don't know how it's going to go. We're just going to go jump to each one, have a different trigger, have different lights, and all set up and ready. So that was definitely a really fun experience. And he was super chill, super, super nice. And we got some really cool photos from that. So it was one of my, probably more of my fun shoots. And I mean, really just I love traveling. And some of like the best experiences like I've had is we will just pick a destination if there is like a photo meetup or something going on. Like I went to New York like a month ago just because they were having some Halloween meetup. And I was like, okay, that's a great excuse to go, because they always have models, they have photographers, like all these things. Let's just go network and meet people. I love the community. I love meeting new people. And so we'll use that as an excuse to go. And then basically we'll like get on Instagram and I'll just try and find local models and local photographers. And I feel like I create some of the best work that way, of just traveling, new city, new town. I feel like whenever you're stuck in the studio environment or just even your hometown, you don't see things sometimes like, the way that somebody coming in to visit would see things and get excited. So just traveling, putting yourself in a new environment, meeting new people that inspire you and give you a little recharge and just excited to create is like the best feeling in the world. And so since COVID's over, I feel like the last few months I've been doing a lot of that and just creating and having fun and being inspired by more people again outside of the studio and in the studio, because sometimes when you go somewhere, they're not going to have the lighting system that you're used to shooting with or the modifiers that you're used to shooting with. You're putting yourself in a situation where you really have to think and kind of think outside of the box. I'm like, all right, they don't have my ideal setup. I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm like, okay, well, let's hunker down and like figure it out and challenge yourself. So
yeah, I mean, when you understand photography to the point where you understand the concepts, you're not reliant on specific gear or a recipe,
yeah,
a lighting ratio. You can figure it out. You just need a lighting
exactly.
source, and you can modify it. And clearly, you've gotten way past that level and are quite a great light craftsman.
Yeah,
Lighter,
shaper of light. Yes,
lightor, shaper of
lightor.
light, a lightor.
It's good. It's just when you're in those situations, just remembering to breathe and be like, it's okay. Just set it up, figure it out as you go. Like, it's good to put yourself in some challenge and like purposely, I challenge you to purposely put yourself into some challenging situations and to play with some different lighting setups on like from YouTube or different things, because it could happen. It will happen. One of your lights is not going to work. Something's going to break, Like one time, for example, I took a Canon, the trigger instead of my Sony trigger to a photo shoot. And I'm with a client and I have the wrong thing. Like I'm like an hour away. There's no way that I can go home and get that. So at least that I knew, okay, I have the Canon trigger. It's still going to work on my camera. I'm just going to only have to shoot at like, 250th of a second, I think, and lower, or else I'm going to have like that black line on my camera. I just can't use like high speed sync and shoot more like that. So like it worked. The photos were great. The client had no idea, but it had happened one other time at that sunflower field years ago. And just thinking about all the things that could go wrong so that you're prepared.
Yeah, it sounds like you just need to pack both cameras next time.
I know, right? Oh, the trigger. If like, luckily I had 2 cameras, but reflectors, diffusers, just being prepared for anything. And I mean, luckily, goodness, I don't know, like Lightroom's denoise feature, their new one. I think I used to use like the Topaz denoise, and I'm like, that was good, but like, my goodness, like you can shoot up in a higher ISO and those photos still look bomb.
Yeah.
Like
Lightroom,
now, and
they're starting to come out with some pretty awesome little features that they sneak in that not a lot of people like know about.
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, the masks and like all of these things, I'm like, I think Capture One finally was like, okay, people are really liking this Lightroom stuff. Let me just do like the select subject, the sky, the background, because I am telling you, like Lightroom has stepped it up, and all the things that I was like, why doesn't this have it? They finally have it. And I'm like, yes.
Yep, I agree. So what does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you? What do you got going on?
So the next 6 to 12 months, I think I basically, in September, I was forced to move my home studio to a commercial studio space. So it's bigger and I'm able to have more studio rentals for other photographers, but now I'm also able to host events and workshops and do more for the community and like hopefully bring in some speakers and do some different things. So that's what I'm like really hoping to kind of like focus on more. I definitely this next 6 to 12 months want to do more creative projects, play more with some like gels and creative lighting. Like I've got work more with hair and makeup and stylists and just do some more awesome content and hopefully get that stuff on YouTube and start kind of breaking down some of my workflows for some people, because I know a lot of people are curious on what I'm doing. So that is the plan, to record and get some content out and put my face on camera. I know I was telling you this is my first podcast, and I recently did my first like YouTube video with The Flat World a month ago, and then I did my first interview a little before that. So we are jumping the gun. We're like, okay, let's do this. Let's get out there and just kill it.
Well, it sounds like you need to come to St. Louis and we could figure out something.
Yeah, you need to, let's do it.
Maybe
just
we
some
just like
lighting.
meet in the middle. It'll only be an hour and a
Yeah,
half.
the middle. Yeah, I'm like, what's in the middle? Is that Columbia?
Yep,
I'm right.
probably.
So I've got a farm
What can we do in Columbia?
like 30 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there's some like rock formations. I think there's some photo studios in Columbia.
You're creative. I'm creative.
I mean, exactly what we're saying. It's like we will make magic with whatever we have. I'll make magic on my phone. You know, like let's do it. Whatever we have. I'm like, okay. I mean, granted, if I don't have a phone or like some crappy camera, I actually bought my very first camera that I had. I bought it again, and I can use flash with it. I think I'm gonna do like a photo shoot with it and my normal camera.
Never gonna get the film developed. Let's be honest.
I know. I'm gonna do that. Maybe I'll do that today.
You should go do it today.
Yeah, I will go hop in my storage and find those. I know one of them is covered with Lisa Frank stickers. I know you're shocked.
Not really. I kind of want to be covered in Lisa Frank stickers, to tell you the truth.
Know. I used to have a sticker book and I can't find it. I'm so bummed about it.
Maybe it's under the cameras.
It could be. It could be. So yes, no, I'm excited to see. I feel like I'm at a point in my life where it could go this way or it could go this way. And I'm just really excited to see where that goes. But all I know is I'm going to continue to use color in my work, portraits, and just make people feel empowered and have fun with my crazy photographer self and color. And it's going to be fun.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us on your very first podcast. I'm sure it's not going to be your last.
Thanks for having me.
Go to find your website and check out your work.
Absolutely. So you can find me at niahrosephoto.com, NIAH Rose Photo, on basically all platforms.
Oh, nice. You got the
Niah Rose Photo and everything.
Nice. Isn't it the best when that happens?
Oh yeah. No, I'm like that person who, on GoDaddy and all that stuff, I'm like niahrosephoto.com, niahrosphotography.com. I just take it all, including on Instagram, all those handles. I'm like, no, this is my name.
Yeah, you got
to think smart. You got to steal it.
Good. Well, thank you again. It was a pleasure talking to you, and looking forward to meeting in person.
Yes, let's do it. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. All right. Talk to you soon.
This podcast is officially over. See you next time. Catch you a little later on down the trail, dude. Thanks for listening. Now get out of here and start shooting.
I can remember very distinctly one of the very first classes. You had to take one roll of film and tell a story. And you got 4x6 prints made of them and you put them on the wall. I remember watching some of the people's images go up on the board and being like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? These people are so talented.
I was a DJ. I worked a lot at night. Sort of felt that itch to do something else. And after some soul searching, the only thing that I was excited about doing was taking pictures.
And I would Photoshop myself into other places. And a lot of times it never even went online. I didn't care because it wasn't for necessarily the world. It was because I wished I was anywhere other than where I was.
I suppose academically I failed everything, so I was left with very few choices.
I was cater waitering. I'd work till 11, 12 o'clock at night, retouch until 3 or 4 in the morning. Even though I didn't really have the talent, I'd be willing to work when other people would sleep.
And at times I look at my work and I think, damn, I'm a shitty photographer. Fuck, it's nothing.
You have this idea of what can be done because you're assisting, and you just can't create it.
So often today's artists, I think we get ideas and we end up sitting on them and we don't follow through. I think we can be our worst enemies.
I will talk myself out of a project before I even begin it because I think about all the things that might go wrong or could go wrong.
When you first start out with doing anything, you've got like 5 people, one of those is your mum following you, and it's just like difficult to get accurate feedback.
You have to be willing to be rejected by the artwork, by yourself, by your peers.
We get worried what our peers are going to think. We get worried what the talent is going to think or what the celebrity is going to think.
And for me, it was always like, I understand that, but I also understand that you have to be passionate enough to throw the excuses aside and just start the process.
First struggling, then assisting full-time for 3 years, then struggling some more, then retouching, freelancing, getting my first job.
But I'll lay in bed and something will just pop in my head and I just go, what if? wouldn't it be interesting if?
Try it, it didn't work, throw it out. Try it, it didn't work, throw it out. Try it, it works, it doesn't work, throw it out.
You know, you don't become a great photographer, you don't become a great painter, you don't become a great sculptor without having some downfalls and going in the wrong direction.
I allow myself to fail because I like to fail, because I like to grow. But you have to decide that you want it, because it's not easy to be great at anything.
Even though I'm not at the place I want to be, I'm still moving forward.
Nobody's going to love everything that we do. But I think you have to take a chance.